when it comes to photography, there's been, in the last year, I've had a few women reach out to me in terms of they had breast cancer or some surgeries on their bodies, and it's for them a way to capture their body as it is right now and to really honor that, celebrate it. I see photography as a transmission. You always have your own energy, and then through photography, you get to see your own transmission because reclaim, this is my body, this is who I am. And I think it's very important. The reason why we need to come into connection with ourselves and why we need to do self-pleasure practices, for example, why I'm such a big fan of this is because you need to be able to rely on yourself. You need to know your own desire map. You need to know your own body.
Welcome everyone to The Connection. I'm with Shari Van Deran, and she is a intimacy and sexuality teacher, and that gets expressed in many ways. And one of them is through sharing and working with women. And another way is using your photography lens to bring confidence and boudoir photographs where women can feel really sexy.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, welcome. How
Thank you so
feeling?
much. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm nervited. I'm like nervous, but also excited.
Is that a real word, nervited?
I don't know. I heard it at a sex conference. I was like, I'm taking that with me.
I've heard that nervousness is just excitement without the breath.
Wow. Like
Maybe
that one.
we'll just remember to breathe.
Yeah.
What is some of the most times that you've had with clients? Is there a time that you're like, this felt like a really trans experience?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think when it comes to photography, there's been, in the last year, I've had a few women reach out to me in terms of they had breast cancer or some surgeries on their bodies, and it's for them a way to capture their body as it is right now and to really honor that, celebrate it. Yeah, it's coming into connection again with something or like a rite of passage. It's you're letting go of the body that you were born with and that comfortable with, and then all of a sudden you get confronted with this new reality. So I feel like that's a really big transformative for a couple of women that I've been, shooting in the last year, especially. And I'm always so honored that they also trust me with, right? It's such a vulnerable place to be in, and it's for them a way, because I see photography as a transmission. You always have your own energy. And then through photography, you get to see your own transmission because you see your photos at the end of the shoot and you're like, wow, is this the energy that people get when they speak to me? Is this what they feel when they see me? I'm really honored that I get to give them this gift in their new bodies. And it doesn't always have to be that mass surgeries, for example. It's also just how many women have stories about their bodies. They're like, their bum is not big enough, or it's too big, or their hair is not curly, or there's so many stories that we grew up with. And it's just beautiful to see how it's a moment to mark and to reclaim, this is my body, this is who I am, and I am beautiful. If I think about more the sensuality and sexuality work I do with women, I used to do a 4-week program called Bliss, and would guide women through actually self-pleasure practices. So every week we would discover or cover a certain topic, breath sound movement, for example, and we would really anchor in that so that women would broaden their horizons in terms of sexuality. At the end of the program, I would just get messages about they had the best sex of their life and their partners were incredibly grateful and they were curious about other workshops I was doing. It's just remarkable. I can be in so much awe when I see people go from a very narrow mindset or like a very narrow to just opening it up a little, like just an inch, and then they're ready maybe for some more. And that's just a beautiful process.
Do you only work with women?
I mostly work with women. I'm getting some requests for couples.
Boudoir photo shoot from us or what?
I have a lot of curiosities to do boudoir with men. But I haven't had any men presenting
you got one now.
Okay.
We'll do it on the podcast. How about that? How long is it going to take?
I'm up for that.
What in your journey led you to this work? I often say that the thing that we teach is the thing that we need the most for ourselves.
Mm.
So for me, it's a lot around human connection, relationships, because I needed to learn that. Why do you need this for yourself?
Yeah, I think that's a really nice way of looking at it. We need it the most ourselves. I started this journey through the lens of women's empowerment, actually, through the work of Mama Gina.
I have some stories with that.
I'm a big fan of her work. Yeah, she's incredible. I think I love her energy. I was working in corporates. I was working at Nike, for example, and other bigger corporations as a marketeer. And I was very much in my goal setting. And yeah, I really wanted to be like the go getter and climbing that corporate ladder, which was beautiful. But at that time, I didn't realize what it really meant to be a woman. And it made me realize, gosh, I'm 27 years that I'm in this female body, and I don't even know what to do with this or what this actually means. That's how I got more into, I need to get more connection. I need to understand how I can get more sensitivity in my body and I can look at it differently. Because I always told myself I'm the ugly girl. Yeah, people are surprised by that now.
Well, if you're the ugly girl, I'd hate to see the rest of them. My God, you're gorgeous.
Thank you so much. I'm taking that in. It was for a long time, I believe, that I would be friends with the ones that were with the popular guys, or I would always be in the shadow. And I made it possible, right? I allowed myself to be in the shadow, probably because of all these stories I held about myself. It started with a reclamation of getting to know my body, and that for some reason led me to go into more of tantra stuff and around pleasure and sex. And it really made me buzz. I felt aliveness in every cell of my body after certain practices like breath work or tantalizing touch, for example. Are we talking about this? Like, can I buy a program like this? Should I be listening to this?
Yeah.
And then it was super uncomfortable. But the moment I said yes and I gave myself the permission, that's also how I see my work is I just give women a permission. It's a permission slip that I'm basically. I don't do anything. I just give them permission. And women like Mama Gina, Layla Martin have done that for me, right? They've been my permission slip and I'm forever grateful because I feel more alive. And I think when I was in this big corporate world, I was important. I had studied and done certain things in my life and I was on the way to a certain career, but I never felt as good about myself and about my future as where I am right now. And when I started touching this.
What was a real turning point for you, whether that was a certain practice or workshop where you had a big unlock around that woman in corporate that didn't think she was beautiful and was in the shadows to the woman you are now?
Yeah. There's a few things. There's never just one turning point, I think, in this journey. But the one thing that comes to mind immediately is a little curious for me now. Is I was at a Tantra festival as a photographer, and a woman had asked me, she was guiding a self-pleasure practice for both men and women. So usually I would be the first participant there, right? Because I love those workshops and I love the work about as a means to greater connection and power. But so I was observing and I was also in a space holder role. And there was this one woman and she dropped in so deeply, energetically, just touching herself. She wasn't even touching her vulva. She even had clothes on. It was not normal, probably to what most people understand by normal, but it was like she was fully clothed. You could just see it from her energy. I could just feel it. She loved every bit of herself. And it was so liberating for me to feel, wow, that is exactly what I am feeling. And it means that it's not only available for me, it also means that other women can unlock that too. If they just allow themselves and surround themselves with people and go to situations or settings where it is safe to explore those, innate desires, basically, because we all have them. We just suppress them very often. That's definitely one moment that steps out. And another one I say that comes to mind is I was doing this very much in the beginning when I was still like doing workshops here and there. And I was like, oh, Tantra, I don't know what it is, but it sounds good. I love it. I was doing X amount of months with Layla Martin. It was an online program. So what I knew about sexuality was penis goes in vagina or vulva rubs against clit, basically. That was all that I really knew, let's say. I remember Layla guiding where we had to be on all fours, and it was a solo practice, right? So I was there all alone in my living room. My former husband back then was not at home. I was like, okay, I hope he doesn't come home because I don't know what I'm doing here. And we just had to let our animal out, and we just had to be really wild. Am I really doing this? She's really good, and she's like this big personality, so I must trust what she's doing. Give her, faith, my trust in this. I did this practice, and at some point, it just took over. At some point, I really unleashed my animal, and the breath just took over, and my body started moving. And I thought, well, if this is alive inside of me, then I am also a wild woman. I'm not just a princess who needs to look a certain way or wear lingerie or really be savage. I really wanted to always look for a thing that liberates me and that activates every cell in my body. And I'm like, oh, buzzing.
I want to see you in that wild one. I just interviewed Kasha Nast yesterday, and she is the epitome of a fully expressed woman. And I've seen her go into her wild woman. I'm just like, love it. It's a little scary at first. And I'm just like, give me more. Wow. Yeah. And it's like when women can really be in that full expression, drop that guard of trying to be that Barbie model and that thing. And it's sexy. As long as the man and the masculine can hold that and is secure enough to know that he can hold that woman, and it can be very sexy. And, we learn in a lot of these workshops, this primal play is kind of what I'm hearing you're getting into. The primal body, the animal body moving all around. I was in a workshop a couple weeks ago, and we were doing predator and prey. And this is edgy as hell, especially for a man, because being the predator but we got this permission, and it was in a healthy container with lots of consent and boundaries, etc. But the permission was to be the predator and to move around the room like an animal and find your prey and pounce on. Any men listening and watching knows that many women really desire this if they feel safe with this. They want to feel like the animal is coming for you. They want, and the scary part, there's a fine line between a predator being in the negative and in something that is actually very useful. If you go too far, we have rape, a lot of other negative things that we don't want. But when it's in consent and an allower, and they have to be matched up, that if I want that to take you, you need to allow that, or we have a mismatch and we're going to have some serious problems. But how does it feel to be the prey, to be the allower when it's in consent for you?
Yeah. I think that's a really lovely place to be in. If there is indeed consent, and if you're at ease, right? Because very often what happens is you tense up. Yeah, if you can't hold the container as a prey, I will also not enjoy it. I will just run off. I will not want to be in that space.
Yeah.
If you're being held in a certain way, communication is lubrication. I think it was also in this work of sexuality for women. And she would say, the single best thing to actually having sex is to talk about sex. And sometimes still feels like edgy, but it's just knowing, and I don't do it with just everyone. I need to feel the person first, and that might sound fluffy to feel someone, but you really do feel it. It's like this intuition, this voice inside it says, can I trust in myself for setting my own boundaries? Because I see that happen very often, that women don't allow themselves to go somewhere because they don't really trust themselves to say no, or to say, I want more of this. Because then they might be a slut, or if they say no, they might be shy. I think it's very important. The reason why we need to come into connection with ourselves and why we need to do self-pleasure practices, for example, why I'm such a big fan of this, is because you need to be able to rely on yourself. You need to know your own desire map. You need to know your own body. Like, what is it that turns me on? Do I like scratching? Do I like biting? Do I like sensual play? And also just really knowing that your no is worth it. You know, you're allowed to say no, and that doesn't make you any less sexy.
That makes it more sexy because then I know what I can do and not do to you or with you. I know what you like. I always have a conversation beforehand about desires in general. As a man, if I can go into a scenario and you're like, I love to be taken and here's my boundaries, I get to be like, oh, I want to take you. And you're just like, well, I love this and can surrender, right? And if I don't know that, then it's always a game of just doing something that you got a good response from the last person that you did that with.
Yeah.
And we're all very different. The way you like to be touched is going to be different than every other woman. There might be some overlap and similarities, but I'm always reluctant when people say, this is how a woman likes to be touched. I have not found that experience to be true at all. There are some similarities and there's some things that generally work. For example, being present.
Yeah.
Most people, most women, that is something that is very important for a man to show up in. But some, they don't want the light air touch, or and some people want the grounding earth touch or the fiery touch, you know, or the watery touch. You know, there's 4 types of touch that you can give, or at least, sure, there's more, but there's 4 types of touch you can give. We have air, water, earth, and fire. And people enjoy different types of those touch for sure.
Can I add a 5th one?
Oh, I want more.
Which is more like the ether, because that's something that I really like.
So there's 5 types of touch now. So there's 5 types of touch.
You're getting to know my blueprint now.
Okay, great. Energetic. So there's 5 types of touch. We have the physical touch, which is the air, which is very slow. We have the water. Then we have the earth, which is grounding. Then we have the fire and passion.
Yes.
Then we also have the energetic, which is actually maybe akin more to like Reiki. It's the moving of the energy. It's being with that energy. It's in the energetic field and our electromagnetic field of our bodies. And that is a 5th type of touch. I learned 4 the other day, so we're adding one.
There we go.
What are the 5 types of touch?
You want me to repeat the 5 types of touch?
Yeah, we're looking for clips, babe.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, this is why we're practicing this.
Yeah.
So always repeat the question and
Okay.
the answer with a question. Or, yes, you got it. So
Yes.
Start it with like the 5 types of touch and then give demonstrations.
Yes. Oh, I like that. Give demonstrations. Are you giving me orders right now?
Yes, give it to me.
Oh, okay. So the 5 different types of touch that we can explore is the first one is more airy. So that's just with your fingertips very often. It's very soft, very gentle. You're very present here. You're not looking around, but you're really present with that touch. And then the second one would be water, where it's more your full hand, your hand palm, just going over it. I like this one with a lot of oil. Yes, that's for me like the more sensual touch. And then we have earth, which is really slow, I would say, and very grounding. So it's a little rougher, but it's like, it's not too intense because it's also really slow. I feel it's really going back and grounding into the bones, basically. And then you have fire, which could be anything, you know, it's really spontaneous, it's hard. And it's also what I like is really playful because it can be like pinching, but it can be scratching and it can be like super all over the place, basically. And going from the hand to the foot to everywhere. It's just the surprise factor is very important there, I find. And then afterwards, and I also like to do it in that order, actually, because afterwards the body is just in bliss because it's like fully activated, and then to leave it in a more energetic touch, just hoovering over. And you can play with the distance, right? You can play with going closer, yes, or going a little further. And then for you, that might be like, oh, what is she doing? Or feeling the anticipation. You might feel the energetic touch, but you just also might want to play with what's going to happen next? Where is she going to place her hand next? So no matter if you feel it, like if you're into Reiki or these kind of things, I do think it adds an element of, yeah.
Those are the 5 types of touch. It's interesting. I actually felt the energetic at
You
the end.
did?
Yeah. I don't like the airy touch. Just
Me either.
it feels very like irritating to me.
Yes. Yeah, and I remember saying this in this order, but what I also learned from one of my teachers is that if you do first the sensual touch and then, for example, grounding, that warms up your body so that it's ready for air. Because it is like sometimes it can tingle or it can be like, oh, stop that. It's just annoying instead of relaxing, but it's just because your body is not, your skin isn't prepared yet. And if you ground it and go like in sensual touches, you really prepare it, and then it doesn't really bother as much the airy. But I mean, I agree. It's not my cup of tea. Yeah.
I love that. What else you got in this? I want to know. The real question I have is you work a lot with self-pleasure, and you're talking about it at a very high level, and it doesn't feel that useful. I want to get to the useful one. I am definitely masturbating the wrong way.
Okay.
What are you going to teach me?
Okay. Yeah, you're definitely masturbating the wrong way. Well, I have curiosities about what you call the wrong way, actually.
I'm just saying, if I come to you and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
For me, honestly, I don't masturbate very often. And when I do, it feels very functional. It's when it gets to the point where my body's just like, something happens in my brain where I just start getting really confused, and then I start doing stupid shit, and then I start making compromises on who I'm connecting with, because like it's just been so long and my body just needs intimacy, or it needs release. It needs. So for me, masturbation has been very functional. And, you know, I've done a lot of this tantra work, and it's like, just take your time and stroke yourself and slow with no expectations of ejaculation. And I'm like, I don't have time for this, and it's not fun. It's not that enjoyable to me. And it's like, because I realized I'm a connectual, that my sexuality is very tied. It's completely tied to connection. I will not get an erection if I do not have a strong connection with someone. And I don't feel that heart, that mind, that full body connection, even if they're gorgeous. It just, my penis doesn't work. So without that connection. And so when it comes to masturbation, I'm not really, I haven't figured out, or I don't even know if I want to take the time to figure out, which might be the problem, the connection to self in the sexuality, because it just feels like, why would I do that? It doesn't feel that interesting to me or that useful. So I'm giving you my how I'm masturbating incorrectly.
Yeah.
And I want to hear, what would you tell me as the expert?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think what's important here is you're touching on a point that's very relevant for, I don't know how big the percentage is, but for a big portion of the population, actually, they're too busy, or they want to do it with others, or they need porn for this, or they just don't see it other than just spending a few minutes rubbing their clit or jerking off and then just ejaculating or having that explosive orgasm. And so I have nothing against it. I also go to those explosive orgasms, and sometimes do it for, I can't sleep. Let me just, get an orgasm and see if that allows me to wind down and just fall asleep. Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with that, but that's not really the self-pleasure that I am referring to. Because in my work, I really also let them zoom out. And this is what I say with what I mean. This is what I mean when I say, I want to broaden their horizon on sexuality and also on self-pleasure, for example. It can be as easy as seeking pleasure to just, maybe can we do a little practice?
I
Like
don't know.
1 minute?
Let's do it. Yeah.
Let's do it. Okay.
Hold
And
on,
so, this
sorry.
is all about broadening our horizons. You don't need to take off the clothes. That's for later on, maybe. But
Whew, it got hot in here. Turn off
Woo!
the AC, please.
No, so let's just take a moment to really find pleasure, because I think it's about just rewiring your definition around sexuality and around pleasure and about desire. So let's just take a moment to close our eyes, shall we? Yeah, and I love that you're just immediately taking deep breath. So if you're listening, just take a deep breath in with us through your nose and out with a sigh. One more in. And on your exhale, you're gonna pronounce any vowel. Oh. Yes, love it. Okay, one more, and on your next exhale, you're just gonna wiggle your body if that feels okay. Oh. Yes, okay. And so what I'm gonna invite you now is, and you can open your eyes for this, you're just gonna have one hand in front of you, and the other hand is just gonna like hover over your body. So one hand is hovering or just barely touching the hairline, maybe of your arm, of your hands. And here I'm going to invite you into something really simple but very profound. I want you to find pleasure. And it can be super simple. And you might be like, is this it? And then if you think this is pleasurable, then just go in and explore with any of those 5 different touches. And remember to breathe. And give yourself permission to really explore that pleasure. Mm. Ah. And then when you found pleasure, you're just gonna slowly let go of the touch and just sit with it for just a few seconds. Feel maybe the imprint of the one hand on your arm or anywhere you placed it, and feel it buzzing afterwards. And then you come back, gently open your eye. How was that?
Interesting. It took a minute.
Yeah.
The energetic touch did not work for me.
Okay. That's good
The light
information.
touch didn't really work for me. But then when I was like, find my pleasure, like, what do I want? And then when I pushed into this pressure point in my forearm, I was like, oh, that feels good. I like that. And then I was able to find what brought me pleasure to myself, which is interesting.
Yeah. And so it's as simple as this. I want to invite people to experience pleasure in their day to day, because the mistake we make is, or the mistake, it's not necessarily wrong, but we have so much more available if we allow ourselves to explore pleasure outside of a sexual context. It's in our day to day. It is how we look at things. It is how we interact with people. It is how we speak about our own body. It is how we look at our genitals. It is how we move to the kitchen if we go and prepare tea. And it's just in those subtle things that mark your day to day. And if you allow yourself to go there and find pleasure in this moment, then you will also be able to do that in the bedroom or wherever you like to have sex. And for example, you now exploring just in, how long was this? Maybe 2 minutes? Knowing that, hey, the energetic touch wasn't doing it for me on my own, and actually sensual also not, but then really grounding. Oh, that was my sweet spot. Then you can start asking that from your partner as well. Be like, hey, baby, I actually like it when it's a little like rougher, when you ground me, when I feel like you've got me, or I don't know what it makes you, what is alive when you do this. But then you can start co-creating. But I do feel like a big thing that we need to learn is our own pleasure map. And one of my teachers told me that we very often, I see sexuality as like a world map. And so very often we just land in a certain village and then we circle around the church and we think this is it, right? This is my hometown. This is what I know. This is good. I have my friends here. I have my local pub and everything is amazing. But then if you go and you're like, oh, actually, let me zoom out. There's like, oh, Google Maps is expanding and expanding. And there's this, oh, there's another street there. And actually, there's another country. And if I allow myself to go there and I explore and I'm like, oh, actually, Turkey isn't really my thing, but Greece I love, for example. And it's the same, like, oh, I don't like the energetic touch, but I do love grounding touch. And it's all about getting to know your own pleasure map. And it starts with you, and then you can start co-creating. You can invite people in. But for me, it feels really safe when I'm with someone who can also let me know what they like. I feel much more at ease when I'm like, this person knows, this person is invested in their body, in their sexuality, and that will hopefully also translate to the connection they have with me. Because if they're curious about themselves, then they might get really curious about my pleasure. Yeah.
Definitely the curious of self very likely is going to go to the other. Shari, I would like you to, one, summarize this concept of a pleasure map. Try to make it a little shorter in this case. Cut.
Yeah. You do like the metaphor?
I love the metaphor. It was a bit
It was long.
So can you make it into something that is a bit more of like a ABC or a step-by-step or just a short statement of like having to find your pleasure map, or could be like how to find your pleasure map and share it, something like that.
Yeah. Okay,
Cut.
let me think. Do I respond to the question that you asked? I don't remember.
It could just be a statement. Like,
okay,
the idea is like, I think there's something really beautiful in there.
it was just long.
It was it was like long and just kind of meandered a bit. So maybe try to like think of a way to be like, the way to find your pleasure map is first find the pleasure within yourself. And then once you're able to find that, explore that, then be able to communicate that to your partner, because when you can communicate your pleasure map to them, they can even expand more of yours.
Yeah. Okay. You're good at this, I feel.
I am.
I tend to meander. Okay, let's see. Yeah, so words.
And just take your time for a second. So
Yeah.
why don't you just sit with it for a second too?
Okay.
And we'll cut this
I
part
also
out.
don't want to overthink it. Oh, you just want to vape. I'm on to you.
I don't hide shit. Cut that out until she starts again.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. Can you ask me? I think it's easier if you ask me a question, because then I have like an entry point or so.
Yeah. Talk more about how to get to your pleasure map.
Yeah, I think it's really important for us women and men in general. No, cut. Just people in general, right?
I would just go, don't even say men and women, just say it's important to people to find their pleasure map, or this is how you find your pleasure map. Or here's the steps to finding your pleasure map.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think a very important step in sexuality is for people to really discover themselves and their own sexual desires, their own pleasure map, let's call it. And so you can see this as a world map. And if you only find yourself in your own hometown village, you'll never explore your full range, right? But if you go travel to different places, then you might find that you like other parts of your body or different types of touch on your body. And if you start knowing your own pleasure map, then you can just give it to a partner and be like, hey, these are the things I really love. Can you give me that? Can you play within this realm? And then it's a safe space. Because sometimes partners might not expand the full range of your pleasure because they're afraid of hurting you, or they're afraid of being too much, like one of the core wounds we carry, right? Yeah. And so it gives permission to be like, hey, this is what I really like. Can you play within these boundaries? And then another way for a partner to potentially expand on the pleasure map, because there's this whole pleasure map and you might not discover this alley or the other alley. And then they can go, would it be okay with you if we try this? And then you can tune in with that and be like, oh, actually, I like the sensual touches on my forearm, so I might actually enjoy it on my inner thighs. Yes, you can give it a go. And then you can co-create and write your, continue exploring your pleasure map.
I would love to try to give examples. Let's give our pleasure maps and see and let people know. That feels vulnerable
It
to me. Does that feel
is,
vulnerable to you?
but I'm up for it. I'm all about vulnerabilities.
What is your pleasure map?
My pleasure map is funny thing. This is vulnerable.
Oh God, what are we gonna
Yes.
hear?
Oh my God. I wasn't prepared for sharing this, but
Great. That is the perfect thing to
let's do
answer.
it. Let's do it. Because I know a lot about my pleasure map, I would say, and I'm nowhere near to knowing it all, even though I've been exploring for many years now. But a few months ago, I was at this event and I had someone ask me, "Can I lick your armpit?"
Mm.
And I was covered in sweat, right? It was hot. I was like, okay, so I have a boundary on kissing, I have a boundary on vulva and my breasts. I don't have anything against you being on my armpits. I've heard many good things about it. So yeah, let's go.
You loved it.
I loved it. It was so wow. Yes. He was just making love with my armpit. Like it was the most important thing in the entire world.
Wow.
That was his entire world at that moment. And it made me, there was presence, as you had mentioned before,
Yeah.
like that's sweet spot for many of us, I think. He was so present with it. Nothing in the room could bother him but my armpit, my sweaty armpit. And I was loving it because it made me feel really seen and it was also really pleasurable.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's your whole pleasure map?
No,
Oh my
but
God.
I needed to let it sink in. That was a vulnerable share to be like, you can just, lick my armpit.
Okay, great. Well, if anyone is watching and would like to write in that you'd like to see me lick her armpit, that would be edgy for me. I have
Ooh.
tried though eyeball licking.
Oh,
Very
really?
interesting. Yeah. Toe sucking.
Mm-hmm.
Way more interesting than I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
Hygienically questionable. And, but
Were you sucking or getting sucked?
both. We had to try it. Yeah, I'm trying it. So another couple ones I was like, whoa, that is much more pleasurable than I thought it was going to be. It's a little intense. Toe sucking can be intense. And eyeball licking was kind of weird. But I have
In
to
terms
say,
of hygiene, but continue, yeah.
I don't know if eyeball licking is really a hygienic issue, but I'm not sure. We're going to have to chat GPT that one.
Yeah. I wouldn't necessarily recommend this, but
You know, you tried everything. I've tried a bunch of things once, sometimes a couple times to make sure I didn't like them. But that's part of the beauty of being an explorer and being a curious person. So we got armpit licking on your pleasure map.
yes. I am a sucker for oil. I love bodily fluids everywhere because I'm very in terms of the different touches, I'm energetic, but also very sensual. And so I like starting off energetic, getting that connection, but then just everything in terms of like full body, full hand palm touches, gliding all over me. Not too abrupt, but just slow and gentle. And yeah, I really love that. Lots of oil. What I also learned about myself, which is something I didn't know I was going to like, but not just licking on the earlobe, I think, but just the entire ear, like full tongue all over, not necessarily in, but definitely like up on the ear. Oh, yes. It's something animalistic, I feel. It was also during primal play that I discovered this. I was so pleasantly surprised. What else is my pleasure map? I would say, are we talking about the body touches or also just like the kinks and stuff?
I mean, I think it includes everything.
Right? Yeah, I'd say so. I love blindfolding, but also getting blindfolded. I love the idea of taking away one of the senses and just not knowing what's going to happen. It's very important that I feel safe then. Like,
of course. I think that goes for all of these. Let's just put a blanket on all of those.
I love that. Yes. Thank you for putting that in. Yeah. And I love working with, I'm very high on sensual. So I love working with hot and cold dynamics. So for example, candle wax is also
Mm.
something that really can light me up. Not all the time. My body needs to be prepared for this. It's not like, oh, let's do candle wax. No, it's like it involves a whole lot of preparation, hour-long sensual oily massage, probably eye gazing and all of that. And then yeah, going from hot to cold, really like all of a sudden getting ice cold water poured over me, because it's like all of my senses get activated and I'm like,
Mm.
I'm here. And I love
Mm.
that.
Mm.
And then I beg for more and I don't get it. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. How is that to receive this?
I'm just listening.
Okay.
Beautiful. I mean, some of them for me sound very interesting, and some of them I relate to. Candle wax can be interesting. Have you tried flash cotton?
I don't even know what that is.
Okay, great. We'll get back to you after and we'll let you know how it is. Maybe we can put you
Flash
on the
cotton.
table.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but it's better in the dark. It doesn't really work unless in the
Oh.
dark. Anyways, okay, great. Do you feel complete?
I mean, there's so much about my pleasure map, and I feel a lot will immerse or come up
Yeah.
in the act itself. But it's really about setting the foundation, making you feel okay, which happens through the sensual touch, right? Sensual, energetic presence, eye gazing.
Mm.
And then I do like exploring more kinks as well, getting tied up.
Mm.
I love moving my body. I love undulating my body,
Mm.
because when I'm undulating my body, when I'm like just still,
Mm.
she's not enjoying it. And I don't like being there. So I'll always, focus on my own pleasure map, which I know because I do self pleasure in
Mm.
a really broad spectrum or in a broad way. But then a really key thing for me to explore my own pleasure is start undulating my body, moving my
Yeah.
hips. And when I'm tight, like my arms or my legs or both, then I do like having my hips free, because then there's something to it. There's something
Mm.
to it.
It's interesting. I mean, the three components of increasing your sexuality are breath, movement, and sound.
Yes.
That's how we increase our own pleasure. And it's true. I mean, they teach this and, I've tried it and it works.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I have a tantric coach, Yanni Kramer, who's been a good friend of mine for probably 5 years. I trust her. And one of the practices she did with me was we would go into the primal and we'd be wrestling. She's like, try to pin me down. And we're like playing. Then she would be stop. We just pause and she goes, where do you feel sensation in your body? Where do you feel pleasure in your body? Feel into that more. Feel into that more. And I would stop and I would like look for it and try to be present in my own body and find that more pleasure. And then we'd start again. And it was like, we weren't being sexual, but she was teaching the practice of basically like being in the passion and still being able to recognize the pleasure in your own body to increase that. And I thought that was a very useful exercise.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think also in this, that makes the giver also the receiver, I feel. Because, for example, something that comes up right now is I get questions from women about how to give a better blowjob or how to, a better hand job or those kind of things.
Can you show us?
How long do you have?
I think we have a lot of reel on this tape, so I think it's infinite.
Oh my gosh. Well, let's see.
God, someone please, the AC.
What was the question? Oh, yes. I kind of got sidetracked for a moment. Yeah, I did get sidetracked. Oh my gosh.
Great.
I had a
love
whole
that.
visual. I'm a visual person. So.
Great. Wait, just stay there for a second and we'll cut this whole part out. Or not.
Or not, might be the juicy bits and parts.
Yeah. I'm curious about what you're going to say on that, how to give better hand jobs or blow jobs, because also many men are very different. When I need to instruct almost all women and they're like, really?
Yeah.
You want that much pressure? I'm like,
Mm.
yeah, I need that. And I think it's actually because of my circumcision. I think the circumcision took away a lot of sensitivity in my penis. And it's like, this is something I've had to deal with over the years. The advantage is I can go a very long time. The disadvantages is I'm missing out on some of my own pleasure. And I'm actually, I just want to say, I have a strong stance against circumcision in general. So if women are out there, men are out there, maybe think about it. Go watch some videos before you do that to your child.
Yeah.
And no, and I really, it's an intense one for me. But let's
Yeah.
get back to the fun stuff. So women ask you how to get better blowjobs, hand jobs, etc. What do you tell them?
Well, I think it's actually really important what you just highlighted now. And it's not just about men with circumcisions, but there's also men who feel like it's not big enough or it's not hard enough or it's
Mm,
like ejaculating too fast or too soon or too little or, there's certain stories that men hold around their penis. And I think it's our responsibility as women to honor that and to take a moment to really worship the penis that we have in front of us.
mm,
And one thing of that is actually acknowledging and giving words of affirmation, for example.
mm,
Um, I love taking in the penis, as in not just taking it in my mouth or in my hands, but really just taking it in energetically and being like, I'm so in awe of what I have here in front of me. And I love it. I love your penis. And then, describe certain things that you really like about it.
mm.
It might be the size, it might be the shape, it might be the color, it might be indeed you see a circumcision, just bringing out those vulnerabilities and sharing it openly. And that really softens very often the men
Mm.
that you have in front of you.
Yeah, I can attest to that. When women take the time, they call them lingam worship, which is
Mm,
sometimes, and there's the same for yoni worship, and it's a practice that you learn in tantra, but even simply outside of it, of just when a woman's like, wow, I really love your cock. It feels so good. Or I love the shape or the way
mm,
that it's curved or the way that it throbs. I'm just like, it feels so good to hear that. And it makes me
yeah.
feel like so just masculated, if that's a word. I just
Mm,
feel like very filled up. And it's just an appreciation of taking time because very often it gets overlooked. And, in my world, there's a lot of emphasis on worshiping the yoni, taking the time
mm,
and really opening it up and touch and doing all these practices to honor the sacredness of the woman's genitalia. And yet a lot of times it gets overlooked with a man and it's just kind of, it's not even touched.
mm,
It's not even taking the time to, you know, and not in the intention of trying to get to an ejaculation of just being like, wow, I really love your body. It's so beautiful. And it's like, the first time I heard that, I was like, what?
mm.
I was so confused and I didn't even believe
Yeah.
it.
Mm,
And as a man, especially seeing porn, we think our dick is supposed to hang like an elephant. And
yeah.
then most of us are not built that way. I found out, I thought my penis was very small for a while. Then I found out the average. And then it's like, well, you know what?
Mm,
First of all, I know how to use it because I
mm,
trained myself how to use in the art of sexuality so that I could feel more confident. And a lot of women have said, if a really big penis isn't even that good, it doesn't work with their bodies, it hurts, or it doesn't really bring, if there isn't that presence, and if they don't know how to be good lovers
mm,
and not just the size, right?
yeah.
So, if you're going out there and you feel shame around your penis, the size, etc., please tell the men what you're really thinking, what a beautiful woman is thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Mm.
What would you tell them?
The women?
No, what would you tell the men that have shame, that worry that their penis is not too big? What can you do as a woman to?
I would worship it and I would take a moment to actually also hear out these stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it also depends on the scene and setting, but I always think it's a good idea to take a moment to pause there and not just go and jerk him off or put him in your mouth and do stuff with it. It's like
Mm,
it's going to be beneficial for the connection and it's going to be beneficial for the pleasure as well to actually pause and take a moment instead of rushing through it. Because it's like, do you really just want the quick 5 seconds, or do you actually want afterwards to feel like, oh my gosh, as a man, do you want to feel like you were really worshipped and still be buzzing afterwards, being like feeling more confident because your cock was actually seen for what it is and not for, compared to all the other penises that are out there in the world? And for women to also, feeling good about that connection. And I think that's really important. Yeah.
Thank you. Shari, I really appreciate you being on this, talking about some vulnerable ways.
Yeah.
And if people want to work with you, learn about more self-pleasure, intimacy, sexuality, if they want to get a really self-empowering photo shoot, women or men, maybe sign me up. I would be curious if that feels edgy for me.
Let's do it. I
Oh
love
my
the edgy
God.
stuff.
Okay. How do people get in touch with you?
Yes. The easiest is to go on my Instagram, shari.vandekran, or on my website, www.sharivandekran.com. I hope you put it in the show notes.
I will put it in the show notes because I'm
Yes.
not sure anybody got that.
No, exactly. It's a Belgian name and it's on top of everything. It's also not really a Belgian name. So to make it more complex, right? I love the mystery. Now people are like, oh, who is this woman even more, right? Yeah, because I do indeed, as we were speaking about lingam worship, for example, I do have a course on for women if they want to get better at giving blowjobs and hand jobs, because we just touched upon the surface level and there's so much more I can explore on this. And there's a course on that online. You can just DIY, do it at your own pace and your own time. And I also have a course on self-pleasure. And very soon I'm launching something around sensuality. Because I think, I love sensuality, and it's a great way for women to become more confident in their body and to stop the stories around, I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough. I'm done with this era. I really want women to be empowered. And I do that through the lens of sensuality. So
I love that. Thank you so much for being on the show. If you enjoyed this, if you found it practical or entertaining, I have a bunch of other podcasts of practical things around your connection to yourself, to others, to community, to sex, to your self-pleasure is our connection to self-pleasure today. Thanks everyone for joining. Please hit the subscribe button, follow on theconnectionmap.com. I have a bunch of tools that can help you have better connections with this entire world. Thanks for joining.